Howdy friends, have you ever found a piece of tech while playing No Man's Sky that surprised you? And I'm not talking about S-Class upgrade modules here. Rather, have you ever found a blueprint for tech that offered some unique feature or ability that you'd never seen before? I know I have. I'm Kanaju, and these are 10 unique pieces of installable tech, in no particular order. And yes, I will be sticking to installable tech for this list, so that excludes items like the Sentinel Flare or building parts like the Bike Beam. We're talking blueprints that can be installed in your tech inventory that offer unique functions, all of which are functional in the game today, if not obtainable at the moment. Sadly, that excludes the Archive Bypass implant. Now I know, you clicked this video expecting to see the Archive Bypass implant near the top of the list for its biological circuits, but it is technically a consumable item, so sadly, it doesn't meet the criteria I just made up. And unfortunately, I will not budge until item 7. So, let's get started. Number 10, Portable Refiner. Now, I know what you're thinking, the Portable Refiner? Man, this list sounds boring. Boo! But, hear me out. It's actually the perfect introduction to this list. You see, once installed, you're able to process materials in your backpack. That means you can refine materials in your ship, on a space station, at the Nexus, wherever you like. Which is pretty cool already, but what makes it unique and puts it on this list is that it also comes with its own animations. I still remember my mind being blown when I first saw this circle on my backpack spinning for the first time. It's the only tech in the game that affects the appearance of your backpack in any way, and that makes it pretty unique in my book. And no, jetpack trails don't count, those are customizations, those aren't installable tech. So, number 9, Bobbleheads. Similarly to how the Portable Refiner is the only tech to affect your backpack appearance, Bobbleheads are the only tech that affects your cockpit appearance. Bobbleheads are neat for a couple of reasons. For one, they're the only physics-based part of your ship, meaning that they actually bobble according to your ship's movements. Secondly, they actually offer small stat boosts depending on which one you have on your ship. You can technically install all of them at once to gain all of their advantages, however only one will display on your dashboard at a time. Polo and Artemis even have an adjacency bonus with each other in Starship trails, but I've never bothered with all that since I'm not a min-maxer. I just use them because they look cool. Number 8, Personal Forcefield. Admittedly, not much to say on this one, except look at how cool this thing looks. Blocking a Sentinel Walker's attack feels badass every time. And I suppose it's the only active defensive tech in the game. You see, other shields and armor are passive, while this one requires your attention as using it drains life support and prevents you from firing a primary weapon. However, it's great for reloading or running for cover. Talk about pro strats. Number 7, Bespoke Starship tech. Alright, so I told you I'm stretching the criteria of this list a little bit for this entry, since these don't technically have a unique function. Rather, they're unique in another way. When beginning Expedition 3 cartographers, your starter ship is an exotic type, filled with tons of broken, bespoke tech. We're talking an advanced launch system, a better version of launch thrusters. I'm seeing a frameshift catapult, a more powerful and efficient hyperdrive. There's a waveform engine, like a pulse drive, but different somehow. And finally, a pressurization capsule, a completely unnecessary life support module. Great tech, pain in the ass to repair though. If you know, you know. In other words, these Expedition exotics came equipped with non-standard replacements for all of the usual Starship systems. While functionally identical, they do provide unique stats and are the only unique engine modules found in non-organic starships. Besides Vesper sails, I suppose, although Vesper sails are downright common compared to these. Number 6, Cloaking Device. This little doodad is one of my favorite pieces of tech in the game. It's great for getting out of all kinds of sticky situations. It functions a lot like a stealth boy in Fallout, granting you temporary invisibility and making you undetectable to sentinels and other enemies. While it does drain your life support, the real hitch is that it has a very limited operational time before it needs to recharge, ensuring that you don't abuse it to cheese the sentinels. It's on this list as it's the only stealth technology of any kind in the game. Although I suppose you could argue that the cargo scan deflector is also stealth tech, but not on this level. I've used the Cloaking Device both to win and to escape combat. Honestly, I think it'd be cool to see something similar for use on starships, or even your settlement to hide it from Sentinel attacks. Even as it is today though, zipping in and out of visibility reminds me of the Houdini plasmid from Bioshock 2's multiplayer, and just like that, it's a lot of fun to use in combat. Number 5, Remembrance. Now this tech comes with slight, minor, tiny story spoilers. They're actually not really spoilers at all, but if you don't want to know anything about the story, feel free to skip to the next tech item using the timecodes below. So, Remembrance is a late game blueprint that, once installed, grants you access to the terminals found behind locked doors and space stations and planetary buildings. It also boosts your health. Now, I won't spoil what those terminals contain, but Remembrance isn't on this list for function alone. What makes Remembrance particularly memorable is that it has possibly the most crafting steps of any item in the game. That being said, it's actually quite simple to make. You see, first you construct a captured nanode, then use that to create an englobed shade. Now with that, you can craft a noospheric orb. The orb is then used to synthesize dark matter. Now take the dark matter and turn it into Dawn's End. Beautiful, isn't it? But don't get attached though, as it's just an ingredient in the recipe for photic jade. In turn, the photic jade is used in the creation of a state phasure. But you can't stop there. You need to use that to make a novae reclaimant, which you'll then need to make a modified quanta. With that modified quanta, you'll finally have what you need. The final ingredient needed to create the Heart of the Sun. Then you take the Heart of the Sun and install Remembrance. Bada bing, bada boom. See? Simple stuff. Painting with numbers. Speaking of numbers, number 4, Minotaur AI Pilot. When the Minotaur exocraft was first added to the game in 2020's Exomech update, it's kind of lame, honestly. It was slower than other exocraft, it was more difficult to steer, and it couldn't really do anything unique. And no, picking up storm crystals with the same button that ejects you if the prompt disappears for a second was not cool. That all changed though in 2022's Sentinel update. By installing the Minotaur AI Pilot, you turn your simple exocraft into one of the best companions in the game. Seriously, my Minotaur is like a bodyguard, taking out threatening fauna before it can even reach me. And when I pick a fight with the Sentinels, the Minotaur is actually strong enough to hold its own and take out enemies without much help. This one installable tech module transforms a vehicle into a mech bodyguard. I mean, come on, it doesn't get much more unique than that, right? Number 3, Animus Beam and Solar Ray. Gameplay-based spoilers for the Starbirth mission, I suppose, aka the Living Ship Quest. As always, feel free to skip to the next item using the timecodes below. So, I decided to combine the 2 unique multi-tool attachments from the Starbirth mission into a single list item. While they are unique from all other weapons, they're pretty similar to each other. So, let's start with the Solar Ray. While at first glance the Solar Ray appears to be an off-brand terrain manipulator, it's actually labeled an alchemical laser, due to its ability to transmute any terrain deposit into liquid sun. Alchemy. Which is cool enough on its own, but besides that, it also doesn't have a secondary firing mode like the terrain manipulator, which means you can equip a secondary weapon or device, such as this Personal Forcefield if you like. It also doesn't create silicate powder when mining. Next we have the Animus beam, which is labeled a soul extractor. This is definitely one of the darker aspects of the No Man's Sky universe. You see, you aim this modified mining beam at any living creature, and you'll extract small fragments of its soul, called fragmented qualia. It's a pretty effective weapon, but it's also a very effective mining beam. While it's not compatible with mining beam upgrades, and thus it's sort of limited in use, it does mine materials twice as fast as a standard mining beam. And again, it literally harvests the souls of animals that you shoot with it. I mean, that's pretty insane. And while the soul extractor and alchemical laser are similar to each other in that they're both able to harvest unique resources from regular parts of the environment, there's really nothing else like them in the game. And again, Soul Extractor. I mean, come on. Number 2, Trade Rocket. This was a recent addition to the game and one of my favorite parts of the Waypoint update. It's really straightforward. You install the tech rocket into your exosuit, and you get the ability to summon an actual rocket anywhere on any planet. Then, once it lands, you can fill it with the goods that you'd like to sell and launch it back into space. It'll fly all the way to the space station, saving you a trip. Now, I get it, there are plenty of other ways to sell goods already, but this is the most entertaining by a country mile. This is the only rocket in the game. It's physics-based, meaning that if you summon it on a hill, it'll fall over. And since it's a physical rocket, you can actually hop in your ship and follow it all the way to the space station if you're quick and careful enough. I'm hoping we see more rockets and similar retro-futuristic type sci-fi stuff in future updates. It's just too much fun to launch. And finally, we have number 1, the Singularity Engine. This is the only freighter tech on this list, but it's pretty special. Minor spoilers for Expedition 8 Polestar, I suppose. So, near the end of the expedition, you will be given the blueprints for a Singularity Engine. This module gives your freighter the ability to generate a black hole, or a wormhole rather, inside of your reactor core. This will then send your freighter through the wormhole to a random star system. Unlike a regular black hole, this doesn't break your tech. It also doesn't send you to a fixed point like most black holes do. Now, some of you may be thinking, hey, this sounds a lot like the emergency warp unit that teleports your ship out of danger and then sends it to a random star system. And yeah, it sort of uses the same mechanic, except that this is the only way to send your whole freighter through a black hole, meaning this tech comes with its own unique loading screen of sorts. Pretty cool. The only thing that bothers me about this tech is that I wish it was obtainable in regular save files outside of the expedition, especially since freighter captains in normal mode all have the prompt to use it. It feels like it's missing. But who knows, Hello Games have been implementing expedition content into the main game in the last couple of updates, so maybe we'll see it soon. But that's it for my list. Those were 10 or so of the most unique installable technology modules in No Man's Sky. What did you think? Was there a super unique blueprint that I forgot to mention? Are there any on this list that you hadn't heard of before? What sort of tech do you think Hello Games should add next? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to leave a like, I would certainly appreciate it. Now, before I close the video, I would like to thank everyone for helping me reach 12,000 subscribers this week. Y'all are incredible. And I know, I haven't celebrated 10K yet, but don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I've decided that next week I will host my first ever live stream in order to thank y'all in real time. I figure it makes sense to thank y'all around Thanksgiving time, right? So stay tuned to my community tab and be sure to subscribe if you'd like to take part. I have no idea how to stream or what we'll be doing, but whatever it is, we'll do it live. I hope you can make it. So, thanks for watching and for all of your support. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!